Hi everyone, my name is Debbie Currie. I'm the board chair of the Kitchener Waterloo Community Foundation, and I couldn't be more inspired to be in a room with so many change makers and catalysts for change. Thank you so much for coming this afternoon. Today, our town hall theme is around catalysts working together, enacting positive change for greater impact, a theme that is clearly prevalent in Max's work and is, in fact, his raison d'etre. About a month ago, our board held its annual retreat, which is a time each year for us to not only learn about some of the great work being done by our not-for-profit organizations in our community, but also to do some visioning and futurescaping of what our upcoming priorities might be. We invited Max to join us for lunch and to speak to us about his life, his work, and his observations around the relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people. As you can likely tell from the video, Max is an articulate, compelling, and absolutely charming storyteller. He immediately won us over with his gentle approach and his powerful messaging. He asked us how much work our organization is doing around Indigenous awareness, and we explained that we were in the early stages, but very committed to meaningfully broadening our knowledge of and engagement with our Indigenous communities. He smiled, poked a little good-hearted fun at us, and then said, "By the way, if we don't like you, we won't tease you." This immediately put us at ease and set the tone for what was a fun, informative, and inspiring few hours. During our session, we asked Max about his thoughts on land acknowledgements, and he told us that from his perspective, it doesn't matter how you acknowledge Indigenous culture and history, just as long as it's done in a meaningful way. So, with this in mind, I'm not going to read a traditional land acknowledgement today, but instead we'll share a quote from Max that I hope, will genuinely resonate with you as much as it did with me. To quote Max, "What I hope for the future is very simple. I hope for justice for my people, something that we haven't seen in the 150 years that Canada has been a country and longer. You know the treaty was signed in 1867, and at that time we had a shared understanding. I always say it's a relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous people, and Canada has been a bad boyfriend. The treaty has not been adhered to. The relationship we said we were going to have, like any relationship, one that we envisioned being loving, caring, mutually beneficial, has turned to one of neglect and abuse." Max told us he does have hopes and believes that the relationship can be mended, as we heard in the video. He believes in a Canada where youth stand in solidarity to promote respect, understanding, and reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. His organization, Canadian Roots Exchange, builds those bridges between Indigenous and non-Indigenous youth in Canada by facilitating dialogue and strengthening the relationships through their leadership programs. So, in the spirit of meaningful recognition, I wanted to share with you in this little way by telling you a story about Max and his vitally important work. I urge you all to look further into this amazing young man, follow him on social media, he's hilarious. Check out the Canadian Roots Exchange website. Watch Overlap's Better Is Possible project, as you saw Overlap, the producer of the video that you just viewed. And if possible, meet Max and listen to his stories. I promise you won't be sorry. Now, before I hand things over to Elizabeth, I'd just like to recognize my board colleagues. Each one brings a unique perspective and background to the board dialogue, and it's my honor to volunteer alongside each of them. Just wave if you're here. Brock Hart, Eric Strasburger, Lori Payne couldn't join us, she sends her regrets. Mike Murray, Xiao Pu Feng, Tim Jackson, Murray Gamble, John Malloy, and our past chair, David Brenneman. This being my final term as chair, I will soon take on the role as past chair from David in June. David, on behalf of the board, Elizabeth, and the KWCF staff, we are incredibly grateful for the many hours and hard work that you invested in the KW Community Foundation, as well as the community in general. Thank you, my friend. All of us agree that you are a catalyst for positive change that will most definitely be missed around the KWCF board table. And now over to Elizabeth.
In the theme of thank yous, this is Debbie's last major event as chair. And I wanted to thank you on behalf of the current and past board members. I believe you joined in 2011. And on a personal note, you made it so comfortable for me as I joined this organization. You made it easy to be innovative. You expected it, you encouraged it, and championed new initiatives. So all with the goal to leave the community and the Community Foundation a better place, and I think you've done that. So thanks, Debbie. Today I'm going to be speaking with you a bit longer than I normally do at a town hall meeting, but there's so much happening at KWCF that we felt it was important to give you a more in-depth picture of the organization and our linkages with what's going on in the region. First, I will share with you a bit of background on our theme for today. Second, I will briefly highlight our 2018 performance and discuss our 2019 strategic plan. Third, you will hear about initiatives we are undertaking to deliver on our mission to make it easy for people to do more good. And finally, I'll finish up by updating you on where the Wellbeing Waterloo Region project currently stands and how it is informing our strategy and work. So let's get started. Last year at our town hall, you may recall that we announced the launch of a refreshed brand. Our newly updated logo is a vibrant expression, at least we hope you think so, of the inclusivity and connectedness that our organization represents. It was designed by the amazing team at Currie Integrated Communications to represent a fingerprint that is as individual as you are, with the hope that everyone could see their personal connection to KWCF through the path they take in our region. In 2018, we built upon that work and updated our values to ensure that the beliefs that drive our behaviors and results continue to resonate with the community. You saw them in the invitation to this town hall, and you will see them as the theme of our 2018 annual report. We are impact-focused catalysts who are collaborative, inclusive, and trustworthy. I won't go into depth of what each of these values truly means to us, but along with our mission and vision, they have become a touchstone that we use daily in our work. As of December 31st, 2018, KWCF had approximately $100 million in assets under management. We have granted over $47 million to the community since inception, including $3.1 million through 558 grants to 238 charitable organizations last year alone. Relying on the expertise of our volunteer grants committees, who make funding recommendations for our community fund, we distributed $766,000 to applications received through our community grant stream. We were then able to put these applications in front of our fund holders who chose to fund dozens of these amazing projects and programs. In addition, since 2017, we've deployed approximately $2 million in impact investments. It started last year with investing through a loan to Kinbridge Association to help them renovate their new location on the lower level of the Duncan McIntosh Arena and assist with program extensions to better serve the community. We also invested in Windmill Microlending, a registered charity serving immigrants and refugees in Canada since 2005, and loans of up to $10,000 are provided to internationally trained newcomers to restart their careers in Canada. We provided financing for the Working Centre to purchase a property on Water Street, I'm sure you've read about, to support people who use substances. Services will include harm reduction, primary care, addiction support, and temporary lodging to offer communal supports that help people to feel part of our community. We also provided support to the House of Friendship through an initiative they are working on, and that will be highlighted in more detail later. With 5% of KWCF's current investment portfolio now committed to impact investments and an annual 4% grant distribution based on the total capital invested in our endowment funds, we are more than doubling our granting impact by deploying 9% of our endowment towards our philanthropic goals. We are able to grant to the various vital charitable organizations in our community because of the essential efforts of our investment committee led by Eric Strasburger. They work with a team of fund managers to make decisions on how best to invest KWCF's assets in order to fully maximize the returns, which are then used to grant to the community. As you know, the financial markets retreated into negative territory in 2018. So following 7 solid years of positive performance, we had investment returns of negative 0.4% on our investment pool, which was still better than any of the investments I had. And after the last market correction, our board of directors insightfully planned ahead for this type of year and implemented a granting stabilization policy to allow fund holders to grant in years of lower returns. So this forward-thinking approach is keeping granting in 2019 relatively flat to 2018 levels. We understand the stewardship responsibility that has been entrusted to us, and we will continue to work with our dedicated and experienced investment committee to balance the preservation of funds with maximizing investment returns. Without the immense generosity and support of our donors and fund holders, none of this work would be possible. KWCF is simply the shepherd of this good work. In 2017, our board developed a strategic plan for KWCF that our staff is implementing by December 31st, 2020. We have gone back to our roots and are focusing on making it easy for fund holders to give and invest money and for charities to receive money and continue the great work they are doing in the community. We are focusing on 3 very important goals by 2020. 1, to recruit 70 new fund holders by December 31st. We believe this is possible by engaging people in our community in new and exciting ways. That's December 31st, 2020. I should clarify that for the board. Otherwise, they'll be saying this year. Nope, by 2020, 70 new fund holders. Already more individuals and companies are discussing the establishment of funds or directing money to the community fund at KWCF to support vibrant programs and projects that are making a real difference across the region. 2, to develop relationships with 30 new fund holders under the age of 50. We believe engaging new generations of donors will provide long-term regional benefits while showing them what many of you are already well aware of, that the inherent personal benefits that accompany philanthropy and giving back to your community are fantastic. And 3, securing additional investment for the impact investing portfolio by attracting fund holders who are interested in investing for impact, along with granting based on the return of those impact investments. Later in the program, you will hear from Tim Jackson with an update on some exciting developments in KWCF's impact investing strategy. Our board has approved deploying $4 million of the $80 million in KWCF's current investment portfolio to impact investments. Led by our board's newly created Social Finance Committee and chaired by Tim, KWCF is looking for creative solutions to partner with individuals, companies, and organizations that want to make a social and/or environmental impact while receiving a financial return. I will share that one of the ways we're delivering on this goal is through the creation of a new type of fund called a donor-advised fund invested for impact. Donors have the option of setting up a fund that is invested along with KWCF's impact investment pool rather than our general investment pool. So all of the capital donated to their fund would be directed into impact investments. Similar to our other donor-advised funds, the donor would have the option of making all the granting decisions for their fund based on the returns of the impact investments. We designed the fund after we received feedback from several community members who wanted to increase the good they could do with their donations. Let's move on to topic 3. And I'm going to share 4 examples of the initiatives we are undertaking to deliver on our mission to make it easy for people to do more good. In July 2018, we launched a pilot partnership with Communitech to connect the tech industry with opportunities for community impact. You may be familiar with the Communitech model, whereby what was previously called executives in residence, now called growth coaches, surround startup and scaling tech firms to provide support for business development, operations, human resources, etc. Together with Communitech, we hired Jerry Reimers as a community impact coach to provide support to tech companies in the alignment of engagement in the community with their business objectives. Employees want to work with tech companies that are good companies with positive social impact. This translates into developing and maintaining a company culture of positive community engagement, supporting employee volunteering in the community, and also their philanthropic wishes. Employees want to give back in ways they can see makes a difference. Early findings indicate that tech firms are very aware of the multiple stakeholders whose needs they must address. They need to focus on the product or service they are offering. If there are HR staff, they are busy hiring and supporting the team. They don't necessarily have time to navigate the full charitable spectrum in Waterloo Region. Many of the volunteer or giving programs are ad hoc. Founders and the leadership teams in most instances don't want to dictate where their employees give. And we recognize this need extends to all companies, not just tech companies. As a result, KWCF is working with Jerry to enhance a company endowment program that's being rolled out in the community. This program creates a lasting legacy for the company, helps them maximize the impact of their giving, and assists with employee attraction and retention. Employees are given the choice to participate in the fund at any point, providing flexibility to easily contribute when they're able and stop when they need to or want to. Companies have lots of flexibility in the decision-making attached to their funds, including having employee committees make the selections and opening granting decisions to all employees to vote on the charities to support if they choose. More employers are interested in linkages to the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we are also tying those activities to the priority areas identified through Wellbeing Waterloo Region. For those of you attending Communitech's True North Conference, please drop by our booth on June 19th, and we'll be there discussing the company endowment program and getting feedback from members of the tech community. So example 2. Over the past 18 months, members of KWCF's team have spent a lot of time in the community speaking with individuals and groups about innovation, and more specifically about innovation in philanthropy. These discussions, along with feedback we've received from fund holders and committee members, as well as the expertise and input of our board, have caused us to think differently about what we offer in order to fulfill our role in the community. KWCF, as you may know, reduced the minimum amount required to establish a fund from $25,000 to $5,000. This provides the opportunity for people to start a fund earlier in life and make decisions about their granting as they go through natural life events. It also allows families the chance to share with their children firsthand about the joy of helping others and the importance of community building. Example number 3. And I'm not looking, so I'm trusting Mackenzie's. Okay, right on. We continue to look for and develop strategic partnerships and collaborative opportunities that benefit our community. KWCF is participating in the public discussion to help Waterloo Region become the creative capital of Canada. It is designed to help everyone in Waterloo Region develop the bold confidence to believe and celebrate who we really are, a community of creative makers, collaborators, and innovators. The creative capital of Canada is all of us, from the families who built this region to the industrial workforce, the arts community, our tech sector, and everything in between. The movement started out as a collection of ideas, concerns, and conversations, and is now taking shape in social media. Waterloo Region has a special kind of problem-solving creativity. We have 15 patents per 10,000 residents. That is 11 times the national average. Who knew? Excuse me. Good, that's a good time for a thought. We need to celebrate our achievements like that, because when we celebrate, we attract. How do you join us and get involved? You can take 30 seconds, 15 minutes, or more. The choice is yours. You can visit www.creativecapitalofcanada.ca to learn more. Example 4. Last week we announced that KWCF is participating in the RBC Future Launch Community Challenge, an initiative that was introduced to us through Community Foundations of Canada. This initiative is possible through a $15,000 grant from the RBC Foundation that is being matched through KWCF for a total of $30,000, available to youth-led projects that address diverse and urgent local priorities in Kitchener, Waterloo, Wellesley, Wilmot, or Woolwich. Local youth between the ages of 15 and 29 will have the chance to partner with a charitable organization and apply for funding in support of a wide range of areas. Grant applications are available and will be accepted until September 18th this year. All of the details, including how to apply, are on our website. I will also mention that the Cambridge and North Dumfries Community Foundation is part of the program as well and has an additional $15,000 available to grant to youth-led initiatives in Cambridge and North Dumfries. So, the big question is the change in brand, in focus, strategy, and initiatives resonating with the community and our stakeholders? Well, in December, with the assistance of Plasticity Research, KWCF surveyed our foundation's fundholders and committee members to get their feedback about dealing with KWCF. The results, I'm pleased to say, were extremely buoyant and provided the input we needed to know that both fundholders and committee members believe we are on track and value their relationship with KWCF. In fact, of the fundholders that responded to our survey, 100% of them said that if provided with the chance to set up a fund with KWCF, they would definitely do it all over again. We take that confidence in our organization seriously and will continue to work to earn and retain the trust of all of our stakeholders. We are in the process of pulling the ideas shared in those surveys into action as part of our 2019 plans, and we will also be surveying our charitable partners in the future to get their input over and above the feedback that we get through our granting process. The fourth and final topic I will discuss today is Wellbeing Waterloo Region. For 10 years, KWCF funded what we called vital signs. Research was in our community to help determine areas requiring attention. In 2017, we announced, rather than continuing to fund vital signs, we would provide support and funding to the Wellbeing Waterloo Region initiative. Wellbeing Waterloo Region is a community-led initiative working together across sectors to improve well-being of residents. Community well-being is shaped by a wide variety of conditions and systems in which individuals and communities are born, grow, work, live, and play. As many of you know, Wellbeing Waterloo Region has identified 3 areas of focus during this process: affordable housing, everyone has a place to call home; healthy children and youth, ensuring all children and youth have the foundation they need to thrive and reach their potential; and social inclusion, everyone is welcome and can belong. Between April and August of last year, 5,000 people from across Waterloo Region responded to a community well-being survey that was funded by 16 partners, including KWCF. The goal of the survey was to ask people in the region about what matters most to their well-being and how is it connected to other factors that influence their overall health. The survey results overall paint a picture of an engaged, diverse, and complex community where people I have to take another drink, sorry. Excuse me. Where people do work that they find meaningful, feel relatively safe and healthy, have confidence in local institutions, and are actively engaged with one another through volunteering and participation in cultural events. This is why they don't let me talk for longer than 10 minutes normally. Excuse me. But underneath it all, we are working hard. Work is becoming more complex and demanding. Work is consuming more of our collective time and energy, and the pace of life is taking a toll on our well-being. This survey is being used by Wellbeing Waterloo Region to inform its collective action in the community and to identify which subgroups are doing less well. The survey data is extensive, and the analysis work has really just started. So my plan today is just to provide you with a very quick snapshot of some of the results to the survey and pull out a few specifically that link to the 3 areas of focus. Our hope is that this will help spark conversations and raise issues. Then I will provide you with an illustration of something KWCF is doing in each of these 3 areas. As you leave, if you haven't had an opportunity to see Lori over at the Wellbeing Waterloo Region booth at the side here, please do. And she's made copies for everyone of this community survey, high-level results that you can pick up and take a look through. So let's get started on a few of the key findings. So these are the characteristics of residents with higher or lower well-being. So residents that are experiencing below average well-being are more often women under the age of 35, are more often on their own, don't work because they're either unemployed or on a leave due to long-term disability. Over a third are living with a disability, either mental or physical, or a chronic illness that limits their activity. Almost 60% spend more than 30% of monthly income on housing, and over 15% spend more than a whopping 50% of their monthly income on housing. Above average well-being tends to be men, older adults, most are married, 54% have an annual household income $80,000 and over, and, maybe not surprising, about the same amount, 54.2%, have a university or a graduate degree. Average years residing in Waterloo Region was another interesting factor, and above average well-being tended to be people who had lived here longer, so almost 24 years in the above average well-being group as opposed to closer to 16 years in the below average. So is the percentage of income spent on housing related to household income? Makes sense that it would. As incomes rise, more people spend less than 30% of their income on housing, and people with a total household income before taxes of less than $30,000 per year are more likely to spend greater than 50% of their income on housing. We then looked at whether it's related to age, and as age increases, again, maybe not surprising, but the percentage of income spent on housing decreases. More people under the age of 35 spend more than 30% of their income on housing. So how do residents with higher or lower well-being compare on community vitality? Well, the 2 key stats in the below average well-being group are that 12.4% experience discrimination due to ethnicity more often in the below average group. In the above average well-being group, only less than 3% have ever experienced discrimination due to ethnicity. In the below average well-being group, over 16% feel unsafe walking alone after dark in their neighborhood, which drops to 6% for those that are feeling above average well-being. The other interesting part in the above average well-being group is that 67.2% volunteered, and I think we have a lot of volunteers in the audience, so That really attributes to an above-average well-being for the group that responded to the survey. 71.5% have a strong sense of belonging to the community, have strong social bonds, believe at higher level that help is available if needed, and have a greater trust in people in their neighborhood. So is social isolation related to overall well-being? The survey found that a higher feeling of social isolation is related to lower overall well-being. And it's linked to people with lower incomes and people who are younger. The same is true for, the question was, is social isolation related to mental health? Again, people with lower incomes and younger residents had that linkage. So, as I mentioned, that's just a tip of the survey. Those of you who have seen all the data know there's a lot of data. And so, amongst all the partners, we're going to look at, sort of sharing who's going to do some deeper dives into various segments. So I just wanted to end with sharing 3 examples of how KWCF is supporting the 3 focus areas of Wellbeing Waterloo Region. In November 2018, the Affordable Housing Catalyst Group announced a goal of, I should have a cape on, I guess, of ending chronic homelessness by November 2020. And Lynn McCauley is over in the bright fuchsia on the left-hand side. This requires raising $750,000 from the community to house people who have been homeless the longest and who have the most complex needs. Instead of resources such as EMS, police, hospitals, jails, and courts being spent to respond to people experiencing chronic homelessness, the same or less money can be spent to solve the problem. A flow-through fund at the Kitchener Waterloo Community Foundation was launched in November 2018 to support the goal of ending chronic homelessness by November 2020, with donations going to the Homelessness and Housing Umbrella Group. In addition, KWCF matched the first $25,000 donated to the fund to help galvanize the community. If you haven't stopped by the All In 2020 table yet tonight, please do so before you leave. Lynn herself will not be there because she's, you might have seen the paper yesterday, I think it was, you're heading to an event in Cambridge on the same topic, so thank you. In April 2019, we announced that UNICEF Canada had established the Waterloo Region One Youth Fund with a donation of $5,000 from Overlap Associates that was matched by KWCF to help children and youth in Waterloo Region and in other communities across Canada. This new fund at KWCF is a pilot project in Canada that, if successful, will be rolled out nationally. A new grant stream that will be managed by KWCF will direct funds to charitable partners across Waterloo Region that support child and youth well-being. Funds will also be distributed to UNICEF Canada's One Youth. It's a 12-year initiative to improve Canada's global ranking from, wait for it, 25th spot to first in child and youth well-being, which is working to solve some of the biggest challenges facing our children nationally, like poverty, food insecurity, bullying, mental health, and violence. You can learn more about and support either the All In 2020 Fund, well, I guess not either or, the All In 2020 Fund and or the Waterloo Region One Youth Fund by visiting our donate page on our website. When you came in, you should have found a save the date postcard on your chairs. KWCF is partnering with the Cambridge and North Dumfries Community Foundation to launch On the Table Waterloo Region as one way to support the social inclusion focus through Wellbeing Waterloo Region. On the Table is an opportunity for people, organizations, and communities to come together, share some food, and have conversations about what matters most to them. All the topics and highlights of the discussions will be collected and a report will be provided back to the community, giving everyone an exciting snapshot of what's on people's minds across Waterloo Region. It's happening this fall between September 27th to 29th. We set it up for 3 days, so you have the option of when it works best for you over the course of a Friday to Sunday. Anyone can sign up to be a host, a person, a company, an organization, a municipality, or a township. Your discussion can be open to the public or with a small group that you select. You can host on the table in any place that inspires people to talk. It could be your local library or coffee shop, a neighborhood restaurant or a nearby park, a church or a recreation center. Many people will host at home around their own kitchen table. What matters most is that people come together, share some food, and have a conversation. We are just in the process of developing the materials to roll out on the table across the community, and they'll be ready later in June. Lynn had they may be ready later. So no, they will be ready later in June. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're starting having a few conversations in the community, and there's already a buzz. This will be a fun and meaningful chance for people to meet, gather, and share. As you see, it's a very exciting time for KWCF. We are adapting to a changing landscape in the not-for-profit sector, as well as society in general. This means we need to be strategic, innovative, and agile. It means we need to be impact-focused catalysts who are collaborative, inclusive, and trustworthy. On behalf of the team at KWCF, I want to thank all of you for your ideas, your input, and support. I can't wait to work with you over the balance of the year as we work towards 2020.